Hey guys, welcome back as always. My name is Leyzar, and today we're gonna have a short recap on Devstream 176. There's a lot of information to go through, so buckle up. Let's begin with the elephant in the room. We are gonna get a huge update called Dante Unbound, and this update is slated for March. So we will have to wait a while to get this fantastic content, but the good news is that most of this stuff, if not all of this stuff, is actually quite nice. Beginning with the elephant in the room, the Inaros Rework. Yes, my friends, if there's one Warframe that desperately needed a rework, and I know there are others as well, let's begin with Inaros. After the fantastic Hydroid update, I cannot wait to see what they will do with Inaros. Pablo did went on to say that he's not going to be as tuned up as Hydroid was, simply because Inaros right now is actually used as a passive tank up until level 200, which is actually quite accurate. Right now, in my opinion, the only good use for Inaros if you want something to survive passively without you doing anything up until level 2, even 300 depending on your build. But outside of that, unfortunately, he is simply not a very interactive Warframe, especially considering his fantastic thematic. So I'm very excited for the Inaros rework. Archon Shot expansion, Ascent Fusion. Now, Ascent Fusion basically is something that we've been asking since the Archon Shard system was first implemented. We want to take a bunch of normal shards and just jam them together into a Tau Forge, because at the end of the day, while that pity system does help us out to get more Tau Forged, it's still not overly fantastic. So from now on, we're going to be able to take 4 normal ones and shove them together into one Tau Forge, which again is fantastic, coming with Dante's Unbound in March, as in not right now, like I just said. Anyway, stat audit for Arsenal. They're gonna be making the stats in the Arsenal a bit more streamlined, a bit more easy to understand. Fortuna Syndicate Economy rebalance. Yes, it's gonna be easier to grind Fortuna. For players that already maxed out the standing and essentially got everything, it's not a big deal, but think about all the new players coming into the game and meeting Fortuna. It's quite the dizzying experience, if I do say so myself, especially when it comes to grinding out that faction. More variety with systemic content, and what exactly does that mean? Essentially, they added Steel Path bounties, and we're going to be able to do fissures, for example, in the brand new tile set, which is absolutely fantastic. Oh, and Steel Path incursions across more regions as well. We're also getting Duviri quality of life updates, and we talked about this one before. Essentially, because of the game's nature, peer-to-peer and all whatnot, you can't really fix host migration. I mean, not really, without getting servers. Then it wouldn't be peer-to-peer. Not important. What is important, they're fixing it in another way. While host migration itself can't really be fixed, they will be adding checkpoints for your progress. So essentially, if you reach a certain point in the circuit and then Guy decides to disconnect because his mom pulled the plug on his computer, you'll be all good to keep your rewards. And hey, that's absolutely fantastic. My only problem is this means even more hand-holding and essentially nukes the difficulty level of circuit, which is definitely not fantastic. But hey, between two evils, choose the lesser evil. As for the Jackal, you guys had trouble with the Jackal? Did ya, huh? No? Yeah, well, they're doing a balance pass, so that's good. Next up, the brand new Warframe Dante, because every game needs a guy named Dante. Actually, that's not correct. There are games that have girls named. Not important what is important, this is the upcoming Warframe delivered to us in March, hopefully with his namesake update. And we didn't get to see a whole lot of Dante, mostly concept work. However, we do have a fair bit of information regarding his weapons and his abilities as well. He will have an Exalted Grimoire, and as the player casts abilities, essentially he writes about the life of Dante. And if you ever wanted to do something like that, there you go. You got yourself your second ability called the Book of Life, which I'm assuming has healing implications. And your third ability will be the Book of Death, which I'm assuming has, yes, damage implications. And then if you cast your ultimate, essentially your previous 2 casts will be cast in your ultimate. So if you went Book of Death, double death. But at least that's how Rebecca put it. Now, while he may have an Exalted Grimoire, and apparently the man is a scholar or a historian kind of Warframe, he also comes with a signature fist weapon. So yes, a scholar that punches people. What more do you want? Oh, and did I mention his signature fist weapon is an Incarnon weapon that goes into claws mode? Yeah, that should be pretty cool if you're into melee. And that's pretty much all the information we have regarding Dante. They also showed us one of his animations. We also know that he's gonna be the first male Warframe that has a floaty animation. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below. We're also gonna be getting Styanax Deluxe with this update, so if you're a fan of Spear Boy, you're gonna be loving yourself this one. Subjectively speaking, it looks fantastic. While the original concept had this whole Jesus thing going on, I don't know about that. The actual renders in Blender looked absolutely amazing, and I love the whole mosaic texture and all whatnot. Maybe it's time to dust off the old Styanax, huh? Now back to Incarnon weapons, we're gonna be getting ourselves an Incarnon arm cannon. Nah, for real. Well, actually not really. The Incarnon form is gonna be an arm cannon, but the normal form is gonna be a hand cannon. So hand cannon that goes arm cannon. How cool is that? And I'll be honest with you, out of this whole update, this is the one that got me most excited. Oh, and Dante's signature fist weapon, it's called the Ruvox. Switching gears, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite Warframes, Mirage and Mirage Prime. 40 years, we've been asking the developer, please give us a toggle for Eclipse. And what did they do? They ignored us for about 4 to 5 years. But no more, my friends, they're finally tackling this issue. So let's talk a bit about Mirage. She's an absolutely amazing Warframe. When it comes to damage amplification for your weapons, there's nothing better than Eclipse. It can reach amazing levels. But the problem with Eclipse is the fact that it's twofold. One, it can provide damage amplification depending on how much light is beaming down upon you, or it can provide a whole lot of damage mitigation if you're in the dark. But because of the inconsistencies of the light sources in Warframe, you either got the full buff, then you didn't get the full buff, or you got some mitigation, or was to max, it wasn't to max. So you see, it wasn't all that reliable. Not only that, it can also be limiting and unfun in gameplay to be like, hey, I gotta stand underneath this stairwell so I don't get one shot by everything. Because survivability, again, an issue because of the consistency of Eclipse, which again is why we wanted a toggle. Now, they did went on to say that they don't want to give us a toggle, not really, because Eclipse, believe it or not, is the second most used helmet ability in the game. And I think I mentioned that twice. You'll get over it. We can head on over to the official dev workshop and post our opinions there. Vote for a toggle, my friends. Vote for a toggle because that would be bellissima. But now it's time probably for the biggest change in Warframe gameplay, and I'm almost not ironic about this one, sticky corners. How many times did you walk past the crate or walk past the corner and you just got stuck? Could not go for no apparent reason. How many times did that piss you off? How many times did you find that infuriating? How many times did you lose the race to extract just because of that? Unfair, uncalled for. Finally, sticky corners will be fixed, and we got the developers for Soulframe to thank for that. So thank you, Cavia Affection. Oh god, okay, so here's the thing. There's a thing about Cavia Affection. You're gonna be able to pet all of the Cavia, yeah. So I would have rather had spearfishing introduced into the Cavia for obvious reasons. Ever since the event, unfortunately, there's a certain Cavia that I simply can't stand anymore. But instead, you're going to be able to touch his ball. What would you think? We're also going to be getting an extension on that Entrati Lab tileset, which is bellissima, alongside a brand new enemy called the Grizzling, which basically feels a treasure goblin kind of role. That's what Warframe needed. They also talked about some system improvements, memory optimizations that will lead to better load times, especially for Tenno playing on garbage hardware, aka Switch. Oh, and about the PS5 issue, they're fixing that one as well. And that's pretty much gonna do it, with one minor exception. They also released the 2023 stats for Warframe, so essentially you can have a look and see which were the most popular Warframe's weapons, etc. Now, I'm a bit hesitant to even mention this simply because for some of you, you equate popularity with power. Just because the Nataruk is the most popular weapon of 2023 does not mean it's one of the most powerful weapons in the game. Far from it. If you want to see what are the actual most powerful weapons in the game, look at the cards right now. For Warframes though, yeah, Revenant Prime definitely one of the most, if not the most powerful Warframe in the game right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye. We're also going to be getting Styanax Deluxe, bro.